Hello, welcome to F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T podcast, episode 147, aka Smash Hits While You're Eating Your Tea. It is a futile fall showdown, all 525 songs going head to head. We are finally in round 3, the last 125 songs of the world. A work in progress, due by 2026, annotate the fall, etc. I'm joined, as always, by the Pemberton Walker. How are you, Alistair?
I'm good, yeah. This round 3 thing, though, I think it's going to be tricky, and there's all those great songs that you're going to have to vote off. It's
oh yeah,
it's going to be very conflicting.
It is indeed, and we're going to start off with a biggie. But first, we also have a guest, Kay O'Leary, 107.7 The Bone, my biological brother. How are you, my brother?
Yeah, I'm okay. Not too bad.
Good. What is your knowledge and love, hate of the Fall, if any?
I have no prior knowledge of the Fall.
That is not correct.
Music. I've not really listened to much before. Obviously Marky Smith popped up with In Spiral Carpets. That's probably about as close as I got to listen to any records. I have listened to a few in the past, but probably not directly.
Indirect listening, that's the best way, actually. Through maybe you asked a friend to listen and then got their opinion, which is
normally,
which is the way to go. So, well, tonight we have and you're talking about biggies, Alistair. Of course, for a non-Fall fan, this means nothing, but to us, it's big news. We got Pay Your Rates against Iceland going up. Oh la la! I think Iceland went up against something really big in the last round as well. And then we got I'm Into CB against Hurricane Edward. Maybe that one's not going to be quite the challenge. And then Sleep Debt Snatches versus Van Plague at the end. Some kind of lower key ones. But let's kick off first by having a good old listen to Iceland and Pay Your Rates. And as it's round 3, and I'm going to make it more of a thing that they're, properly up against each other, slugging it out. I'm going to play both, a little bit of both of those two songs. So strap in and let me know if you can or cannot hear them. And of course, here are the obligatory Japanese adverts. Oh, said I was going to do Iceland against Pay Your Rates first, didn't I? All right.
What the third round, Brendan?
All right. Pay Your Rates versus Iceland. Get ready.
Advice on rates. Advice on rates. I pay your rates, son. I pay your rates. I'm not one of the bow. Hey, bow. Hey, bow. I pay your rates, son. I pay your rates. A plate steel object was fired, and I did not feel for my compatriots. Hated even the core of myself. Not a matter of ill health, but it was fear of weakness deep in core of myself. The fact attainment was out of. Witness the last of the godmen. Hear about Vegas truths. I cast the runs against your own soul.
Memorex rates for the Kraken. So we had pay rates of Grotesque 1980 up against Iceland, Fall, post-punk Manchester band The Falls, Hex Induction Hour 1982. Alistair, which one of those two songs is best? What do you think about pay rates and Iceland, and which is best?
Ecumenical Matter. It's a toughie, and it's two very, very good and different songs. Like, I think Iceland's kind of unique for like a fall song because of what it is really. Like, it stands out quite a bit on Hex Induction because of that different sound, but it's jammed out, isn't it? And you got all the backstory about the recording studio, this, that, and the other. Recording in a cave in Iceland. But yeah, really atmospheric, bit of a Doorsy kind of groove to it. I like the way the musicians have a lot of freedom on it as well, which is fairly unusual for a fall song. So you're getting, it's not quite like a jazz thing where you get like a musician doing their own solo, but everybody steps back. But there is an element of that to it. Yeah, nice, really nice. And Pay Your Rates is one of my favourites, really, from being a teenager. The live version on Seminole Live's brilliant as well. It's probably the highlight of the LP for me. But for under 3 minutes of music, you do get like a lot of value for money. It really gets my toes tapping from the start. It's the sound of the guitar and the bass really nail it, and the pace of it as well. I think it just really works. And it's like you got the deconstruction bit in it as well, which is nice. Where it all kind of like sounds a bit like a car crash, or not quite Trout Mask, but we're getting into some of that territory there. But yeah, brilliant song, fast bit at the end, guitars are brilliant. That really, really sort of gets nasty.
It does indeed, but which one's better and why?
That's a really difficult one, but all right, I'm going to go for Pay Your Rates. And I feel bad for voting off Iceland or voting against it. And I think it's just for the energy, the raw energy of it.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of a controversial choice, but I'll tell you what I think in a few minutes. But KOL, what's have you heard either of these two songs before?
Never.
Never in your whole
Not
life?
to listen to them. Not other than listening to them on my drive to baseball last Sunday.
Wow.
No.
That's what they were designed for, really. No. That's what the fall was designed for, that sort of listening. So let's go with Iceland first. What did you think of that tune?
Yeah, it's not for me. It's too much. It's I know it takes too long to get into it. It's a bit. There's just too much freedom. I think it's not my cup of tea.
Not oppressive enough.
It's a bit too. Yeah. I like something that's got maybe a rhythm or a tune or something. But it's just not for me.
What was the worst bit other than his length?
I don't know. He just kept saying like he just kind of droned on.
He did drone on for a bit, didn't it? But how about Pay Your Rates then? Something as a ratepayer yourself, surely that must have connected.
Yeah, I don't pay many, but it just like the sound of it, and just the crack is quite short and sweet, and it's got a tune to it and a rhythm to it, and it was quite. Even though it's quite bare as well, it wasn't very. It was still quite rough, but it sounded more like a song for me.
What was it? Was there anything you liked about it?
Just the rhythm and the beat as it was going, because it just got nervous and it changed and it go back into it, and it. I like the shout, I liked his voice because it was a bit more shouty.
It was Iceland. His voice is really strange. He doesn't do that voice on almost any other song. He's doing like a weird accent that we've talked about in the past, whether he's trying to do an Icelandic or something else. But this is definitely much more his normal kind of jaunty voice. And
yeah, that's what I would associate with him. That type of.
Pay Your Rates is a bit more predictable. I think that's what I'm picking up.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
I think
I know what I'm going to get.
I know you know what you're going to get with the fall, don't you? So for Iceland, for me, you can definitely feel the mood. I'm not super keen on that kind of banjo ukulele sound, but it is the thing about the song that makes it feel most kind of almost folky, Icelandic, although I don't really associate the ukulele with Iceland.
Piano well in it as well. That's another one that you don't see a great deal of in fall songs, but the occasional one.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm a folk fan.
Well, that's a revelation.
Any of that kind of, don't know.
Any of that folk stuff?
No.
I get you. Oh, jazz, and there's a bit of jazz in there, to be honest. It wouldn't be so for me, yeah, it's unique in this era, but it doesn't speak to me like Pay Your Rates. It's not just because paying your rates is a very relatable thing, whereas visiting Iceland and seeing the Krakens is less so. But I do like the unique kind of subject matter of the fact that it was written about the place where they were, which is not a usual thing. And I love, but I think this would work really well as a spoken word piece, but as the kind of folk jam, I don't think it really plays to the strengths. To be honest, I've never particularly got it, although I think I just like its difference and much more than it's, oh God, look who's here. I'm talking about Iceland, and all right, get ready for 20 minutes of Kerry Katona jokes.
I didn't even know she had cats.
Bros,
And I can
my brother's here today, my Ouija brother. And
Oh yeah, the Dobby one.
yeah, there can only be one, and it's I don't know if he's happy to see you. It's his first time on. He did not expect to have to run into you at this juncture.
Oh, go.
What brings you here today?
My review of Iceland.
Your what? Your hatred of Iceland?
My review.
Your review of Iceland? Oh, you want to tell us about the song? Let me guess, you don't like it.
You guessed right.
Oh, good Lord.
That's because he works at Tesco.
He does? What's that?
For nobody.
What's that? What's that? Froze? What are you saying?
I said 1 star out of a possible Iceland meal deal.
Oh,
we might be on the Iceland Wi-Fi here.
Tell me more.
Let's get one thing clear from the frozen start. This is not about frozen prawns or turkey dinosaurs or Kerry Katona wrestling a lasagna into submission on a Saturday morning telly ad while screaming, "That's why mums go to Iceland." No, this is Iceland by The Fall, and I am furious. What is this? An 8-minute ambient frost fart recorded from inside a malfunctioning walk-in freezer in 1982, like that woman who died on Coronation Street. Marky Smith gargles out cryptic phrases, like a man reading from a cursed travel brochure from the afterlife. He said, "What are you looking at me like that for? Hummus, hummus. What am I looking at you like that for, Mark E. Smith? I'm trying to locate the party platters, and you've led me to a spiritual fjord with no sausage rolls in sight. Where is my Kerry? I waited, and waited. Not a Katona in earshot. No shout of £1 prawn ring. No unhinged trolley-based samba through the freezer aisle. This is false advertising. This song is called Iceland, and not once does anyone get a 3 for £5 deal on mozzarella dippers. Not even ironically. Kerry Katona, Derrida, whoever she goes by now, would never. She gave us emotion discounts, custard tarts on bog off, and a reason to believe. Meanwhile, Marky Smith gives us reverb, existential frostbite, the sound of someone regretting the interrailing trip to Reykjavik while high on fermented gherkins, and the smell of shit. Imagine Brian Emo had a migraine and tripped into the pond. Then he was dragged out by a ghost who just keeps whispering Iceland. That's the vibe. It's not music. It's a slow descent into an Arctic migraine sponsored by post-punk despair. That's how I feel. Yeah, and I apologise, I'm still angry. This is a song named after a supermarket or a country or a state of mind or possibly a freezer accident. I don't care. It contains no turkey crowns, no Kerry, and no warmth. I am cold, I am froze, I am confused, and I am unfed. If this is the Fall's idea of a shopping trip, I weep for their Christmas. 3 out of 5 Aunt Bessie's Yorkshire puddings. Bring back my Kerry and bring back my deals. Would you like a counterpoint of view?
Have you said enough? Is that enough?
I think I've said enough.
All right.
I have nothing else to add. The joke is I thought it was about the place, Iceland, the store, but it is in fact about a song.
It is in fact about a song. That's right. Good Lord. All right.
Rose, did you pay your rates though?
Did I?
Yeah.
I paid what was asked of me from Kerry Katona.
All right. Well, that'll do for us. If you got anything else to say, or can we kick you out?
Kick me out, please.
All right. Well,
I have no more fall in me.
Thank you. Please don't come again.
Exactly.
You're barred.
On a sour patch, I'd just like to say boo.
Boo.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Have a great
Thank
fall.
you, Froze.
Bye, brothers.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. So, I hope he doesn't. I hope that's enough for him. He keeps popping up from time to time, but let's hope he doesn't come back. Yeah, for me, Iceland, yeah, as a folk jam maybe, but and I love some of the lyrics. Cast the runes against your soul, Memorex for the Kraken. Worked 15 hours for the good of the soul and be humbled in Iceland. Sit in the gold room and fall down flat in the cafe aisle.
Gone.
No, I'm not. I just got distracted. Cast the runes against your old soul. Roll up for the underpants show, like the spawn of the volcano.
Is it the F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T hot dog or Carousel Ambra?
No, but I do make a reference to Bonzo's Montreux at some point.
Right, okay.
This is I mean it's one of the highlights for a lot of people of Hex Induction Hour. So we're on very thin Iceland as we're kind of damming it here. And
You are.
I am a little bit, right? But here's what Max and Stu have to say. The eerie buzzing and screeching at the start tells you're entering a strange space, and what a wonderful space it is. The part of Hex and Hour where the hex itself is cast and we are all bewitched. Clock-like ticking and piano as percussion slowly builds, the intensity of Mark's incantation, a truly magical piece. Stu, for all that I love Pay Your Rates, it does not conjure spirits by its mere existence like Iceland. Iceland is a singular moment of actual magic captured on tape. What the goddamn fuck is it? I wish I could tell you. Yeah, and I get that, but for me, Pay Your Rates, it's just snarly and stupid. And as a song about paying your rates should be, the whole idea is just very silly. Really twangy, fierce drums and that beautiful breakdown, that plinky plunky breakdown. One of my absolute favorites, up there with English Scheme. His sing is just a bit too loud, and I love the way he laughs. They're screaming, "Pay him tomorrow." It's a rockabilly riffage, and the bass just gets rawer and rawer. I do think it would benefit from a skronking sax solo.
Really?
Yeah, I do. But I think it's absolutely brilliant. And lyrically, if your rate's too high, write a snotty letter. If your rate's too high, put your life on this bit of paper. Pay your rates, pay your water rates. If you don't pay your rates, you're going to end up here on Debtor's Retreat Estate or Debtor's Retreat Escape. Apparently, Michael Parkinson references the Debtor's Retreat Escape in his autobiography several times, and it's suggested that maybe Smith had read that, but I think it's just a common term for them sort of council estates, which Smith was unhappy that they knocked them all down, and they knocked down those beautiful council estates and they replaced them all with these high rises in it. And they killed it. They gutted it, didn't they? They gutted it.
Get the heart out of the community again.
Bloody hell. And reminder to pay your rates. Pay him tomorrow. Yeah, beautiful. Rates for those people not from the north, being what is now known as your council tax and other things. But all in all, for me, Rates stomps home with its English charm and its English soul rather than this period piece of Iceland. Oof.
Ooh, controversial.
But Max says, Pay Your Rates, a trad punk track that probably pleased the crowd who wanted to go pogo, but it's the slow bits that stand up best. Mark's space for his trademark oration gets more interesting towards the end, but ultimately a bit throwaway. But it is light, as you said earlier, Kieran. It is a bit more poppy and light, but I don't think that should be held against it. Stuart, Pay Your Rates will always be a favourite of mine for the sheer bloody mindedness of it. The moronic riff is a beautiful bludgeon, plus I love the variations on Debtor's Retreat Estates. It's like chewing gristle. It rolls in, says hook you, and it's off. So it is time to take our first vote of the evening. So you've already sort of made it clear, but which way are you going, Al?
Ooh. Are we allowed to split?
I mean, come on. No, let's start as we mean to go on.
I'm splitting, actually.
You're the only splitter in here, to be honest. So you just ban yourself from doing it and we'll be all right.
Yeah, so it's just, go on, I'll stick with Rates then. But I do love Iceland. I think you've been very harsh in some of the comments you're making. I'm
being harsh when I compare the two. If I'm just listening to it by itself, it's a great song. I really like it. But if you put it up against Pay Your Rates, I have to cast a critical eye on it. and that's what I've done. And I was listening to it. I was like, now that they're really going head to head, it's like, which one do I want to hear more? And it's like, Pay Your Rates does something for me. I'm just excited and interested. And it's cool when I'm listening to it. And Iceland, I'm like, it's so nice. I like it. I don't, I'm missing something.
You go to those songs for different reasons because you get different things from them.
Yeah, I don't go to Iceland at all for anything.
Well, they don't have the shops in Japan, do they?
No, they don't. They just have herons and farm fruits. Kieran, which way are you going? Pay Your Rates or Iceland?
Pay Your Rates.
Obvious, innit? But do you think that was too harsh on Iceland, or do you think it deserved all that irie?
No, but I suppose if I'd listened to it as many times as you two, I might have a different opinion, but it's just not for me.
It'd be worse if you'd listened to it more.
Possibly. But there might have been some bits I liked if I listened to it more.
Well, I'm going for Pay Your Rates, and Ezra, I imagine, is going to go for Iceland. But if he doesn't turn up, I forgot to mention that he's back. Ezra's back. He's on the scene, but he's only back in text form. But I think he's missed the boat because both Stu. So Max has gone with Iceland. Stu has gone Pay Your Rates 3, Iceland 1000 out of 3. But sadly, and he should understand this, that 3 is the maximum scored. So he's essentially scored them both the same. It doesn't matter because Pay Your Rates has gone through on a technicality 3-2. Oof.
Default.
Default, the 2 sweetest words in English language. So that takes us now to another Grotesque song, another one of my favorites. It's not off Grotesque. What are you talking about? It's a B-side that was eventually put on Hex, but for me, it should have been on Grotesque. Versus Hurricane Edward, which is off Levitate. So I'm into CB. First of all, a gin advert.
Gina.
That wasn't I'm into CB. This is I'm into CB.
Mystic's right in retrospect. He knew the climate. He was a farman in Ross County. Then he came. The hurricane.
Hurricane Edward, 1997, versus I'm into CB, 1982, B-side of Look No. Kieran O'Leary, what do you make of Hurricane Edward and I'm into CB, and which one's better?
So I'm into CB. I couldn't work out whether it was a a cowbell or a wood block to start. And I did recently watch a documentary about Saturday Night Live's More Cowbell. And originally they were going with they were going with a wood block, but when they got Christopher Walken to say I need more wood block, they decided to change it to I need more cowbell. So it's always good to have a cowbell in there. If it is a cowbell, I couldn't really work out, but it's quite it's raw, and I like the highness when he sings CB the second time. He's kind of high speed. Who isn't into CB? I think I missed it. I think I was a little bit late for CB radio. I assume that's what it is. I think I'd possibly caught the back end of a CB radio or two, but not much.
Well, Martin Judd had one. Martin Judd had one who lived halfway up our street,
Right.
where our real
Brother
cousin,
Jonathan.
where our real cousin now was living, lived, and yes, Brother Jonathan, Martin Judd had a ZX81 with a little printer on the side, with a little tiny silver printer, and he had a Citizen's Man's radio. He was very cool.
Bloody hell, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I know we had a ZX82.
yeah, we did.
Was that the colour one?
That was
sorry? The Spectrum was always colour, yeah.
The Spectrum ZX81. No, maybe you had the one before. Anyway, I'm into CB the song. What did it do for you?
It was good. It rolled along. It was quite raw. I like the vocals were good. Very similar to the previous one, really. It was what I'd have expected to get from the Fall.
Yes, it is exactly what you would expect, but it's the best sort of what you would expect. I mean, CB is definitely in that small group of Pay Your Rates, that's why I mistakenly said it was on Grotesque, which it isn't. But I do feel it fits in perfectly with Pay Your Rates, an English scheme, and I feel like that. And it's like poppy, it's punky, it's a bit satirical, and really good character sketch. But how about what it was up against? Hurricane
It kind of reminded me of Eamon Andrews' "This Is Your Life" by the Sultans of Ping. That type
This is your life.
It just kind of blocky but jumping along. The second one was a bit too polished, I think. It was the drums, like the comparison of the two drums, it sounded more like it was a bit more well played, which I didn't like. I like the fact that the first one was quite raw and bangy, and so I'm into CB. Is definitely my favourite.
What did you make of the fact that
I know
Hurricane
the second one
Edward
was
got
too long.
faster?
The second one was on for about 6 minutes.
They're about the same length, dude.
Yeah, but
In fact, I'm into CB's. I'm into CB's longer.
I can take that tune for 6 minutes. The other one, no.
I get what you're saying, but actually, like the other one, Hurricane Edward, after about 4 minutes, switches to like a live recording, and it kind of messes around gubbins. But this is the thing, that somehow we just seem to get loads and loads of drummers on this show, and both of you as drummers, what did you make of the fact that it's one of the few songs where the tempo just does increase throughout? Did that bother either of you?
No.
No,
not in the slightest.
No, I think that's, as the old joke goes, the drummers at the door because the knot gets faster.
Indeed. I'm glad you said those first.
What do you call somebody who hangs around with the musicians? A drummer.
Exactly.
I wouldn't class myself as a drummer anyway. I would just class myself as somebody who sat behind a drum kit.
Occasionally. Alleged drummer.
Drummer. Wanted for drum crimes. Here's what Mike says about I'm into CB.
The second one, though,
the
second one was more, his vocals in the second one part of the first one was more like the vocals on I Want You within Spiral Carpets. That kind of voice, that there must have been some kind of like echo on the microphone or so, that kind of.
Yeah, I Want You was 2003 it came out, I think. Was that right? No, that's too late. No, 1994.
Yeah.
1994, right? So it came out 3 years before Hurricane Edward. I know I said 2003, that makes no sense. So it came out with, but you're right, the production definitely. I mean, there's 15 years between these two tracks, actually. About 15 years, and definitely production. But obviously, like Hurricane Edward is way less of a song. It's like, what I do like about Hurricane Edward is I like I think it's Tommy Crooks who was playing drums at the time, who now, strangely enough, has opened up a series of skincare shops in Japan. I was talking to her a bit ago on Facebook, and so he's doing that these days. But he was an artist, and he had this character called the Farmhand, who I think is also related to the character on the front cover of Levitate. And I'd really like to get some more background on that, because I think that's what he's talking about here. And then yeah, the great tight drums come in and crunchy guitars and that speeding up of tempo, and there's kind of like weird birdie noises, and it's kind of making a good job of being like that a hurricane, kind of like and again, actually, like Iceland, it feels like one of the few where there's improvisation maybe going on all the way through, though I don't necessarily think it's particularly successful. I think it's the drums are actually the best thing on it. And I do kind of like the mix where everything's sort of buried and fighting for space. And then after 4 minutes, you get that nice long end part. But I do want redder and rawer kind of drums. I think that would have been better. And similar to Bonkers in Phoenix and Midwich, there's is the song's kind of buried beneath it, but I don't really know in this case if there's actually a song in there. And thinking about some of the squawking Scanlan guitar, I know he'd gone by that point, but I think some squawking guitar over that would have been great. Not a scronking saxophone, some squawking guitar. And I'll tell you what I think about CB in a minute, but Alistair, what do you reckon about Amity CB versus Hurricane Edward?
Again, they're two very different animals. Like I'm into CB, it does sound like it's a song that's been jammed together in the rehearsal room. They've polished it, gone in, recorded it. With the Hurricane Edward, it sounds more like something that's been written in the studio. So that there's lots of that's where it gets a slightly overproduced sound to it. But they were desperate at the time, weren't they? Really, because everything had gone tits up, everybody had left, and it was just pretty much Mark and Julie, wasn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So there's loads of Julia bits in there, but I do like it, the fact that it's like a collage, isn't it? Similar to Iceland in that respect, where it's very kind of spacious. And there's different things going in there. It's sort of like transitions from one thing to another.
It's a bit hard to say. Just going back on what I said, this still has Hanley and Burns on it in theory, but I don't really know if the band was functioning at that point, because it wasn't long before they had a proper scrap and they all kind of went. But so I'm not really sure to what extent stuff like Hurricane Edward, because it is credited to Smith and Nagel. So I kind of, sorry to stop you there, but it was kind of, they were still on the scene, but it's hard to know at that point how much Steve. So basically, without crapping on Mark Smith too much, I think he was a very, very difficult person to work with. They weren't earning a lot of money. And so in about 96, he got Bricks to come back, 95, 96, who had been his wife during like the heyday kind of stuff. And she came back, did a few albums, and there was a bust up with her. She went, they ended up firing the guitarist Craig, who'd been with him for 20 odd years. And then they stumbled into this last record, totally broken. Carl and Steve Hanley, who's bass player, they played on it, and then there was an infamous American tour where they had an actual fist fight on stage, and it resulted essentially around that time of Smith being arrested and the rest of the band jacking it in. And so the record after this is basically just him scratching together something with his then girlfriend Julia. This one's where the band had more or less fallen apart, and it's really hard to know what's going on. At some point they were working with two lads who were Pete Waterman's kind of apprentices, who were producing stuff. And then he sacked them after a couple of songs, and so there's some of those songs on with these Pete Waterman lads. There's a couple of covers, couple of weird detours and stuff. So Levitate is a very strange album, but one of my favorites. But
I really like that. I think that was one where they came back from a couple of LPs which I weren't as keen on, and considering like all the upheaval that had been going on in the band, I thought they came up with something really good.
It's just one of those things where sometimes on the inside, when it looks like an absolute shit show, and then the album comes out, and after a few years, everyone realizes it's actually pretty decent. Versus when you got that stability, and sometimes the album's a bit dull. But I would suggest, Kieran, reading Steve Hanley's book, The Big Midweek. It's definitely worth. And I wouldn't be too surprised if a fella that you are well aware with didn't run into the Fall in their multimedia business at some point through the years. But I won't ask you too much about that.
Me.
Yes.
The issue with that is that I wouldn't say I'm a massive reader.
Well, that's very good. He does an audiobook. He'll come round to your house and read it for you if you buy him a pie. Anyway, moving on. Alistair, what did you make of anything else if you've not already told us?
Well, I'm into CB's brilliant, and I just love like the production on there. You got the 2-drummer groove going on. Bass quite minimal but very rhythmic. Lovely monotone keys on the Snoopy. It's a minimalist dirge, a tonal dirge that attracts me to it, really. And I love the snare sound being a geeky alleged drummer. And yeah, the story behind the recording of it's quite interesting. Again, you can find that in Paul Hanley's book.
Indeed, yeah. And it's one of the earliest ones, isn't it, that he was on?
Yeah.
Right?
But it just shows you that like the 2-drum thing it clicked from the beginning up. Paul's kind of like a bit, critical of his own drumming in comparison with Mr. Burns.
Yeah, and just to back up what I said, clearly it wasn't one of the first ones he was on because he'd already played on Grotesque and Slates by that point. So, well, I should never take a break. As soon as I take a break, I completely forget everything about the Fall. We only spoke to him about a month ago as well, and I made the same horrible errors while we were actually talking. So that's good. So let me read what Max and Stu say about Hurricane Edward. And I do like the fact that now this is way more complicated than how we used to do it because it was flipping backwards and forwards between songs, but that's fine. Max said Hurricane Edward, like I said last time round, has a great audio novel feel to it, like magical realism. And sonically, there's a lot of weird and interesting stuff going on. It's an intriguing bit of audio, but it can't really compete with CB. And Stuart said, Hurricane Edward, this one's a treat too. Unsettling, but in a very different way. It definitely lacks form, and like most of the stuff on the album, it's half-baked in the extreme, but it does tickle the ears just right somehow. It's bewildering good, but Edward isn't into CB, and so out he goes. What's your take on Hurricane Edward, Alistair?
I've already told you.
Very good. And into C... We'll get there, don't worry. For me, I absolutely love I'm Into CB. It is definitely, top 20, maybe even top 10 for me. I love the wonky rhythm and the cowbell, and it has that kind of open road feel, like a country trucking song, but of course it's not supposed to, because it's supposed to be about people, mostly I think in England, who are just weirdos using CB radio. And Smith says something about how he's talking about people using CB radio. It's like you might as well just pick up the phone and phone the people. It's not getting you anywhere.
It used to cost before 6 o'clock, didn't it?
It used to what? Cost.
It used to cost money cost more before 6 o'clock.
It did, right?
It was free after 6.
Well, I don't know if it's always free after 6. That sounds like the sort of thing they would have done in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, that's what it was.
More a 90s thing that. But yeah, I mean, you didn't have to pay for CB. That was it. $1.4 for a copy.
That's right. He says C.Plank, which I'd always taken as Connie Plank, which would be good if this had a little more of a krautrocky feel, but it's much more of a country and northern. There's I'm assuming unintentional detuned bass on the breaks, and just beautiful refrain, beautiful lyrics, and the I'm into CB or honking, and it's like, yeah, there's honking and scrunking basses. The drums step up several times, and that kind of like manky production. Yeah, like you said, it's not polished at all. I really like that. And just one of his best character pieces. It's full of grotesque. And then, of course, this being the Fall is sticking on the B-side of a far less good single. And I didn't really have anything that I disliked about it. I'm comparing the two, and although Hurricane Edward has a charm, and I do like some of the spoken word bits, it's just absolutely no comparison. This just towers over it massively for me. Max says, a great slice of white rap, which restrains itself for a long time, growing slowly and organically. It has the feel of all the musicians making up the parts on the spot, but who knows what really went on there. I love how he mentions New Face in Hell before going into government paranoia territory, with the protagonist sent to jail for violating the sacred radio frequencies with his unlicensed communication. Threatens to end how it started, with everyone backing out, then someone's patience snaps and they let go and are quickly faded out. Okay, studio, that's plenty. There's probably a 20-minute version out there somewhere. The next mail you get will be in jail. If that's what you get for having a hobby next year, mail in jail. And then he goes on. It's just brilliant, the whole thing. At 16, I drank cheap sherry, got plastered in the stations and swing parks. From my mother, I stole some money, had a treat with a bottle of martini, so sick I couldn't walk or sit. Since then, I've never touched it. I won't bore you with tales of being greedy. I'm just into CB. That's just beautiful. Stuart says, a classic slice of almost everything good about the Fall, discordant and insistent, it pokes out over and over and over without any obvious increase in tempo or hardness of playing, just builds and builds until it's almost unbearable, like some good real horror or satin. It's all so wonderfully arranged and decorated to the extent where it feels like you've fallen into a character piece of solo theatre for radio. Mind-boggling genius. And it's a B-side. Indeed, anything to add? Or is it vote time?
Vote.
All right, so CB versus Eduardo. Eduardo, of course, was also the name of an actual hurricane in 1996, just before this album came out. So, yes. And I would like to hear more. Tommy Crooks, if you're out there, tell us more about the Farman, because it sounds like an interesting character. I'd like to know how it fits in with the Fall ethos of Levitate, probably in a very bizarre way.
Tenuous.
What's that?
Or tenuous.
Very tenuous. And it does, of course, look like the man with the stick on the cover.
It does. What's in the did a stick, Vic?
He's not going to tell us, is he?
No.
Kieran O'Leary, what is your vote, CB or Eduardo?
CB.
CB is easy, innit? That's where I got you on. And I knew you'd vote the way I was going to vote. It's genetic. Our cousin, on the other hand, I can't really speak for him. What about you, Alistair?
I'm into CB.
I'm also into CB, as is Max and as is Stuart, but not by much. Stuart gave I'm into CB 3 and Hurricane Edward 2. So it is a route CB goes through easily. Takes us to the last showdown of the evening, which is Sleep Debt Snatches, a song which you and I, Alistair, have fond memories of, yes. And Van Plague, a song produced by Ian Brody from the Lightning Seeds, if you can believe that. It's true. He produced that entire album.
He did Bunnyman as well, didn't he?
He did some Bunnyman. He was in Big in Japan, wasn't he, with Holly Johnson and Bill Drummond. You know, he's been around as Mopey Brody.
Oh, hi.
But of course, mostly known for writing the football #1 with big Fall fan Frank Skinner and David Bladybub.
Yeah, that was good.
Out of the Iceland times in fitful sleep, snap right up, lean out of the bed, pivot your legs, shake your head, take an easy breath. Think how great God's golden assurance is in setbacks and great success. But bad dreams through sleep debt. There we have a song about sleep deprivation from a play about a murdered pope, and a song about AIDS from a ballet about
William of Orange, produced by Lightning Seed Singer. Quite the trek there. For me, Sleep Debt Snatches, I do love the kind of cheeky riff, and obviously because it was in Luciani, we've got a lot of backstory to it. We talked about how, put it to the part where he's going through all the different rooms and, kind of experiencing lots of different kinds of dreams, which I don't know if that's what Smith actually meant. The main riff, especially the bass riff and the kind of machine gun sounds, is kind of nice, and great bass line and some nice effects, and it kind of conjures up a little bit of the idea of being like trapped in a dream. And the bass gets kind of higher as it goes through. The initial bit's really cheesy for me, and that kind of scatting at the beginning, that chirpy cheesy scatting, does kind of set up the song well, but is a little bit much for me. And then those kind of big drums come in. It seems like it's for me, we talk about repetition, but this just seems a little bit repetitive when you get into the second half. And I'm being a bit harsh here. I really do like the song in many ways, but when I'm putting it up against other songs, I'm like, is this doing it for me? And, on a good day, I love it. But on a less good day, I don't know if it really does enough to warrant being like, nearly 6 minutes long. Whereas, Van Plague, melodic, low stakes indie, didn't do very often, but it's right up my street. Descending bass in the verse, and kind of a couple of sweet breakdowns, and it's one of the fewer, I think, even like a more traditional indie band, like maybe the Pastels or someone like that had done it, they might have actually done a better job of it, because it's pretty good, but it's not very fall-ish. And I'm not so sure about some of those lyrics, if they are about AIDS, and I don't know if they're tongue in cheek, but I think he goes into some potentially dodgy areas, and I think it's a bit longer than it needs to. So for me, Van Plague kind of squeezes out Sleep Debt on the grounds that it's a really nice tune, and both of them maybe go on longer than they needed to.
Do you know what, Brendan? I think that last time round when we had Van Plague in it, it was against Halfven
right, okay.
Again, it's on Luciani. And look, I think it's terrible that Halfven Bowman was knocked out.
Well, you can right some wrongs here. What do you think,
go.
Alistair? Which way are you going? Those are my thoughts, yeah.
Well, yeah, Van Plague, it's not my favourite one on Curious Orange. It's not even in my top sort of like 3 or 4. All the things that you were saying that you like about it are all the things that I find a bit dull. Like the predictable indie crap. It's all a bit like kind of like loud, quiet, and it needs a middle 8 or something like that to break it up, far too predictable, which makes it a bit boring for me. It's very professional sounding, but like I said, Mr. Brody's behind the desk on this one. But I'm not saying it's terrible. I think it could have been better. It's a bit kind of like middle of the road. We Sleep Debt, yeah. We did talk about the play, and it kind of like that bass riff just kind of like gets into your head with repeated listen. Yeah, it does change a bit. There's a bit more variety in Sleep Debt than Van Plague. You got like the first bit where it's sort of like I think I compared it to Etron Fu before now, with the like acoustic guitar and the drums with a snare off, and then it goes into this like studio based experiment, I think. And there's plenty of variety in it. It takes you on a nice little journey. Some mad percussions in there with reverb. And it's a lot of fun.
It is indeed. It's a weird one, and I think we've just got to know it much more because of it, because of the Luciani connection. And for me, I do like it, but and I absolutely totally get what you're saying about Van Plague. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of it's a jangly indie it's like the Fall pretending to be another band and doing a half decent job of it. Yeah,
getting a bit sticks on your ass.
Indeed. Yeah. So what, Kieran, what do you reckon to Sleep Debt Snatches versus Van Plague?
Yeah, the first one, the Sleep Debt, starts off quite nice. I think it's going to go somewhere with this, and it kind of becomes like the soundtrack to a late 80s, early 90s first-person shooter game, like
Right.
GoldenEye. In fact, it's not even in GoldenEye, but not even like as there's no melody behind it. It's like as if you're walking around an industrial factory and you're just shooting people or taking people's heads off with chainsaws. It's like a kind of a plot, like a water dropping from the roof. Don't get me wrong, I do like it. I like the change from it, but a bit more of the melody in the first little bit would have been better. Again, they both go on for far too long for my liking. The second one is just it is basically an indie song, which is okay. It sounds okay.
Is it piss poor indie though?
No, not enough. No, it's a bit too like bog standard indie.
Which is really unusual. Like, did that surprise you to hear that from the Fall, or did you know they did that kind of stuff?
It would be possibly the only 6 songs I've listened to from start to finish. It's not really anything like. You've got a couple that are a bit, I suppose, weird, bizarre, go different places, and then you've got 2 songs that I would have expected from the Fall. This is just like you say, it's just an indie song, really, as if some Manchester bands rocked up and recorded their only song, and that's what they've done.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of why I like it. But in terms of the Fall, and that's kind of why I'm torn. And I think up against a stronger song, it wouldn't stand much. But for some reason, Sleep Debt, maybe I've just listened to it too much now, and I'm like, okay, well that first bit's a bit annoying, and then the rest of it's kind of like decent, but doesn't do much. And it, I guess, as a piece, if you're trying to get someone in this idea of being stuck in a dream, it works really well. But does that mean you want to listen to it? I don't know. Max for no is the answer to that. Max says about Van Plague, an excitable band on this, but Psy 3000 just manages to stop everyone from speeding up. A great bit of storytelling. It must have worked best within the context of the play. For me, that's interesting because I can't see how this fits into a ballet at all. It's like I can see the rest, a lot of the others, but this seems absolutely not a good fit for people dancing around. So, Kieran, I'm sure, I don't know, you probably don't know, but they were hired by the Queen and King of Holland in 1987 to write a ballet about the 300-year anniversary of William of Orange, who became the King of England. And they went. The Fall were, yes, with Michael Clarke, a ballet dancer, who was really the reason why Michael Clarke was a very well-known ballet dancer, became pretty much obsessed with the Fall. And so you can see these pictures, and the set is beautiful, these giant hamburgers and French fries, because the ballet makes no sense. It's barely about William Orange at all. And this is one of the songs in it. And there's some hints that there's an idea that William of Orange brought STDs to England when he came over, and somehow Smith has conflated this with AIDS, because he was also, through his wife and through the ballet dancers scene, they were into the scene with a lot of, there was a lot of
it's the time when AIDS exploding, wasn't it? It was just
mid-80s, right? There was a lot of kind of people suffering from AIDS and people dying from AIDS, and there's a suggestion that this is kind of his attempt to kind of express his ideas on it. And if you read the lyrics, there's sort of about these kind of waves of disease coming in, or these waves of plague coming in, but there's also a way to read it, and I'm not going to read the lyrics of it being really quite insensitive at the same time. So it's a difficult one, and in no way can I imagine how it's set in the ballet. There's no videos of that part of the ballet, I don't think, right?
I think there's big gaps in there.
Yeah, there's only bits and bobs of the ballet. I don't think I've ever seen Van Play, but I'll have another look. And if anyone out there has, then please let us know. But
was the ballet that they made, was it like performed and recorded?
Well, the album is based on the songs that they used in the ballet, but it was re-recorded in the studio. But there's a live recordings of the ballet, but there's not much video of it. And they played a bunch. They played it a bunch of times, 10, 12 times or something like that. Maybe in London they did a couple of weeks, and they presented it in the in
Den Haag.
In Den Haag, I don't know, somewhere, maybe it was Den Haag, wherever the Royal Palace is in.
I'm sure, was Den Haag not like the judicial capital or something like that?
It's the capital of Europe, isn't it? The Hague, right? But
the Crown. I only know that because I had to go on a train there once when I was playing baseball.
Right. I believe the Royal Palace was in Amsterdam. I'm not
Ah,
sure if they
right.
have another one out in the Hague. I also went to the Hague one. It's quite nice, but I was not tried on any
I
war
didn't stay
crimes.
there. I got on another train.
Just passing through. No need
That's
for
it.
alarm.
I went to Skelmersdale once.
I went to Warrington Runcorn, the most central point of the United Kingdom, and I called Eileen Bilton to let her know before I arrived.
Well, it's customary, isn't it?
Stuart says Van Plague, by far one of the best things from this album, pensive and melancholy, but somehow cinematic, but still jangly pop versus industrial weirdness, he says. I Am Curious Orange, the album, is a bit of a weird because you've got both versions of essentially Hit Priest, right? And then Jerusalem's on there, a couple of kind of collage-y style things like CD Windfall, Yes I Yes, which is instrumental, a version of Bremen Nacht. So there's actually only like Curious Orange, Wrong Place, Right Time, Van Plague, Bad News Girl, and Cab It Up, like that are actual new straight up songs. It's of those, for me, Van Plague and Curious Orange stand like head and shoulders above the others. And Curious Orange is a wonderful song. Still I'm jibber jabbering on when it's time for us to get to a vote. Did I tell you what people said about Sleep Debt Snatches? I'm going to have to get my shit together on this, aren't I? So here we go. Max on Sleep Debt Snatches said the first part is a bit crap, but once the proper stuff is faded in, this is an incredibly powerful bit of music. The bass riff could be seen as a sort of precursor to Blindness, with the rolling, crushing bass acting more like a hypno ray than a steamroller. And Sleep Debt Snatches, another classic. I love the pokey and jolly opening and the way the guitar line quickly fragments down as the bass joins into an industrial whole of insomnia. Maybe the best two-note bass line of all time. Where is my 30-minute basic channel remix? He asks. And you probably will have noticed that Michael E has not commented. He has gone. Pastures new. We say goodbye to Michael E. Thank you for your service, and we hope that life treats you well. But let's take a vote. So Kieran O'Leary, my biological brother, which are you going for Sleep Debt Snatches or are you going for Van Plague?
I'm probably just going to go completely against everything I've said and go for Sleep Debt because it reminds me of that playing of GoldenEye, that type of. And the other one is just something I can pick up anywhere, isn't it?
Indeed. Although I am going for Van Plague. Although I do think Sleep Debt, they're both unusual in the Falls catalogue, actually. But I think Sleep Debt's closer to what we want from the Fall and more likely to, kind of have a bit more of a chance in the next round. Alistair, which way are you going?
I'm going to vote for industrial weirdness over jingly, jangly pop music.
Indeed, and isn't that also what Stuart said? It was a callback, wasn't it? You just made a callback to what Stuart said.
I did.
And so good work there. Stuart has given Sleep Debt 3, but Van Plague 2. So again, not too far off, while Max has indeed gone for Sleep Debt. And Ezra has just popped up. And interestingly enough, he did vote for Iceland, which does bring it equal, which means we got to go to the fingers. I'm allowing it. I'm allowing it. He just got it in. He just got in there at the last minute. He went for Iceland and he went for Hurricane Edward over I'm into CB. He hasn't explained why. Maybe one day he can tell us. And then Van Plague versus Sleep Debt Snatches. Sleep Debt Snatches because it sounds like a special branch of the Judges that Dredd has to take down ruthless style. And I think that might also be another video game kind of reference. So he has given Sleep Debt 3. So I'm the only one in opposition. So what happens here as I am undoing the first vote is the three of us vote out of 3 for Pay Your Rates and Iceland, and whichever one is the best goes through. So first up, Pay Your Rates out of 3. How many are you giving? Oh, is that thumb counted as a 1 there, Alistair? Okay, so it's got 9.
Like Eurovision.
It's got 9, and Stuart has also given it 3 and has shot himself in the foot, right? Because, like I said, he gave Iceland 1,000 But so here we are voting for Iceland. How many points for Iceland? That is 3 points from Alistair, 2 points from me, and 1 from Kieran. That's 6, and 1,000, Stuart. So that's 1,006. But of course, I can only count 3, so that takes it to 9. So in the end, Pay Your Rates quite easily goes through. But good work, Ezra, for
I was actually able to split my vote there doing the fingers. It was great.
Yeah, well, in the end, Ezra also gave Iceland 1 more point, so it's 10 against like 14 or something like that, but still Pay Your Rates fairly easily went through because of the love that it got in the room. So yeah, the first victors of round 3 and going off into round 4 down to the last 64 is Pay Your Rates, I'm Into CB, and Sleep Debt Snatches. Who would have thought at the beginning that Sleep Debt would have made it into the last 64? Not I.
Wow.
I say. Well, thank you, Kieran O'Leary, for popping by.
No worries.
You learned something, no doubt, about Ian Browdy and
Fans full of play.
and what?
Fans full of play.
Oh, lucky you. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to play the theme tune now. So bye. See you all next week. I think Steve Church of the Fall is coming by if we are lucky, and that's always a good one. So yeah, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Live long and prosper. Bye. Or don't. Yeah. Bye.
Sarah.